How's it going, guys? My name is David, and I'm your coach of the FC Popplio, and we are here with week 5 of the NPL Majors. We are up against Blake, aka Moxie Infernape, and his Baltimore Braviaries. I'm going to pop up his team up right above my head. There you go. Blake has a really cool team. It's really fat, and it's very naturally anti-rain. He made some transactions. He picked up Vaporeon and Evire when he originally had Almamola and Jolteon, and I'm not super sure why. I kinda get the Vaporeon, but Aloe, I figured if he was going to make those kinds of trades, he would do it next week, because Jolteon and Aloe were next to impossible for me to break, but then Vaporeon and Evire instead are a lot easier for my team to handle. While Vaporeon's still quite difficult to handle because Water Absorb and Roar, but Aloe is just like the best rain check, one of the best rain checks in the game next to like Mega Venusaur, which he also has. And so Vaporeon and Jolteon can then like outspeed things and be a general nuisance, while Evire, most of my team outspeeds anyway. But enough about that. Going over some of his bigger threats, I guess. Vaporeon for sure. Mega Venusaur absolutely. Rain's really hard for me to break. Venusaur is very hard for water types to break. Zygarde 10 is a bit of a problem if I don't bring Tangrowth. An offensive set kind of fists me. Excelgor, if it's like an Unburdened set, is really spooky for me. Infernape is definitely scary because rain is hard for me to bring, therefore my water types are hard for me to bring. Snorlax is kind of hard for me to kill, and a Rock Polish Stored Power Necro is really annoying, therefore I need Houndoom. But yeah, most of his team is pretty annoying for me. So, as you can see on our screen, we have our Mew, that is our win con this week, rocking the Munium Z, Nasty Plot, Roost, Psychic, Rock Polish, just Dual Dance. He doesn't have a Dark type, so this is really good against him. And barring Roar or Haze Vaporeon, which I am expecting, this thing kind of just wins. So that's reassuring. And to sort of backup check this as a secondary win con in case I have to pop the Munium early or if I mess up and Mew dies, we have sub SD Salac Berry Garchomp. After a Salac Berry, I outspeed everything barring Scarf Infernape, and I think that's it. Maybe Scarf Excelgor or an Unburdened Excelgor. I don't think Zygarde would be Scarf because I have a Tangrowth. Yeah, just Edgequake to hit everything, and that's Garchomp. Up next is Tangrowth. Leftovers, Fizdaf with enough investment for a Giga Drain to break a max HP, max Spidef Zygarde dog form sub. And the reason that's important is I'm kind of expecting if Zygarde comes, it would be some sort of like bulky, toxic 1000 wave set. That seems most likely, even though my Tangrowth can take banded outrages. I could take 2 of them, I believe, and do a lot of damage. But yeah, that's the set. Just general stuff. Leech Seed for everything. Knockoff to get rid of items. Sludge Bomb to hit Togekiss and Infernape. Sorry. This is walled by Venusaur, which is unfortunate, but I have stuff for Venusaur, like my Mew, like SD Garchomp if it's not an HP Ice or an offensive set. Klefki, Houndoom, Torn, stuff like that. Up next is Specs Houndoom, modest, because I'm not expecting Evire to even show up, and if it does, Blake's not one to risk speed ties anyway, so I could bluff that I'm timid. Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, Overheat, Toxic. It's rough. He doesn't have a lot for this. I'm hoping that this could help pressure things like Vaporeon and Togekiss and Venusaur, things like that. If he decides to bring Sun on like I don't know, Venusaur or Excelgor or something. Like, if he tries to bring something, or Infernape. Infernape's one that I'm super terrified of. If he brings like Z Sunny Day Infernape, and I manage to deal with it somehow, then I have Sun Up for my Houndoom's Overheat. I debated Fire Blast over Flamethrower, but since I had Overheat, I decided that Flamethrower would be enough. Kinda regret that. Kinda not really. You'll see in the game. But anyway, this set's really cool. I needed to bring Houndoom, I felt, in case of Stored Power Necro. So that's what it's doing here. Oh, my mouse. Cool. Up next is Assault Vest Tornadus, Knockoff Hurricane Superpower U-Turn, Defiant. I'm not using a status move, so Defiant is cool. Plus it could get +1 boost on Togekiss. Hurricane, max special attack, even though I'm mostly physical attacking. But that's because, you know, Defiant will boost my physical attack for me. It's my Scarf Togekiss check for the most part. I could take 2 or 3 hits, I think, and knock it off. Because Scarf Kiss is a real big problem for my team because I don't have a Scarfer. And yeah, U-turn for Momentum. Torn also switches in really easily on Venusaur. It's kind of my most expendable mon. It's just gonna switch into things for the most part. Enough speed for Infernape, blah 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 blah. Up next, and last but not least, of course, is my Klefki leftovers. T-Wave, Spikes, Flash Cannon, Metal Sound, enough Spidef for all types of things. I forget the specifics. It might be something like Evi or Flamethrower, maybe Venusaur Weather Ball, Infernape, Timid Fire Blast. Oh, Specs Togekiss Fire Blast, I think it was. I think I live one of those. And then defense for defensive purposes, Flash Cannon and Metal Sound. Metal Sound is to help me break things like Venusaur and Togekiss if they're bulky. Spikes are very useful because his only hazard control is Togekiss, which Klefki should then deal with between Metal Sound and Flash Cannon. And Thunderwave because Thunderwave, it helps me win games, and because I don't have a Scarfer, T-Waving Togekiss or Infernape would be very useful if they are Scarfed. So that's the team. We're gonna jump into the game. That was really long and I apologize. Alright, and here we are with the match. This is a long one, so sit back and grab some popcorn maybe. You're in for something exciting. So, as you can see, he has Snorlax, Venusaur, Togekiss, Vaporeon, Infernape, and Excelgor. I'm expecting Roar on Vaporeon or Haze. More so Roar because I see the Excelgor, so I'm expecting Spikes. Infernape I can see as a Rocker, or maybe a Scarf Setter, or maybe Z-Sun. Togekiss I could see as the Scarfer, if Infernape is not the Scarfer. Bulky Venusaur, more or less, and Curselax is a problem. So, that's sort of the sets I'm expecting. Looking at his team, I think I just lead... Wow, that was a voice crack and a half. I think I lead Torn. I do lead Torn as he leads Venusaur. He goes into a Vaporeon as I just get some momentum and U-turn out. Go into my Klefki because I just want to get some hazards up while I'm here. As he goes into Infernape, I figured that was going to be his primary switch, but I wasn't sure. I'm going to hard Garchomp as he reveals U-turn. Now, U-turn makes me think, okay, this is Scarf, this is max attack, Jolly. U-turn likely means Scarf, unless he's like a hazard set, like a Focus Sash set or something. So, like a lead Rocks, U-turn, Mach Punch, Fire move set. But then he would have led with it as opposed to leading with Venusaur to get up his Rocks, because Rocks are kind of important against me. But regardless, he goes back out into Vaporeon, onto my Garchomp, and I'm like, okay, we could do this. I'm going to go hard Tangrowth because Tangrowth does absolutely nothing this game. In comes the Venusaur as I just knock off, in case he went Klefki or something, or not Klefki, Infernape or Togekiss. I wanted to get rid of their item. And I know that if Venusaur came in, I had a very easy switch into Klefki. Klefki comes in, and I T-Wave whatever comes in, I believe. No, I double out. I double out into Torn, expecting either Infernape or Togekiss, and I U-turn out on this to see that it is not Scarfed, and that's good to know. he defogs, so I'm expecting some sort of like bulky set, and I just T-Wave the incoming Infernape or the Togekiss depending on what he wants, or anything really. I hard into a Tangrowth on the Infernape because, one, I'm not expecting him to Fire Move, because that's way too obvious, and I have a Houndoom in the back, and a Tangrowth is expendable, so, and it could also live a Scarf Flare Blitz. So, all in all, getting some good chip damage on the Infernape would have been nice if it clicked Flare Blitz on me. In comes the Venusaur, and we're all caught up. I'm going to go back out into Tornadus as he Toxics. Now, seeing Giga Drain and Toxic, that means a couple things. One, he's likely not Sleep Powder. He's very likely not Sleep Powder. I'm expecting Sludge Bomb for the Tangrowth, maybe HP Fire, Synthesis, and Giga Drain now. Seeing the Toxic, I'm not sure where it's going with this. I assume the Toxic is for the Mew, and I think that's a nice bring. And it might just be for the Tangrowth, so he might just be like HP Fire or Earthquake. Earthquake makes more sense to hit Houndoom and Klefki very hard with Giga Drain, and Earthquake and Toxic and Synthesis. I Hurricane just to get some general damage. I do land the Confusion, but it's only 30%, so it's not even a big deal. I'm just going to hard out into my Klefki as opposed to U-turning. Probably a misplay, but I didn't want to get protected on or something. As he goes for the Surf, as I go for Spikes. And now I see what his damage move is. I go hard into Tangrowth, and I'm just going to double out into my Mew, I believe, this time. Yeah, that's my general play. Go from Tangrowth into Mew on the Vaporeon, expecting the Venusaur. I'm just going to Nasty Plot to see what his switch into Mew is, and I'm going to reveal that I'm offensive, which may or may not be a mistake. I go hard into my Tangrowth as he Facades, and I'm like, alright, so he's a Rest Talk Facade set? That's cool. I'm going to hard Klefki, expecting him not to have like any sort of coverage for this. And I T-Wave as he Sunny Days. Now, Sunny Day Toxic, Giga Drain, that makes me think, okay, he's either Weather Ball or he's Synthesis. And if he's Weather Ball, then this is a wild-ass Venusaur set with no recovery. So, like, that's even better for me. He's going to rely on Wish Passing, which means Vaporeon's going to get even more chipped. So it makes Vaporeon even easier to kill if it actually is the Weather Ball set. But he's Sunny Days in front of my Klefki, so that makes me think Weather Ball. And I'm not going to call his bluff and stay in. I'm just going to go hard Houndoom, I believe. Yeah, just hard Houndoom as he gets paralyzed. I don't know what he goes for. Probably the Weather Ball. I'm just going to go for a Specs Modest Overheat in the Sun. It does 41 to the Vaporeon. I'm just going to hard switch as I know Wish is coming up because I'm at -2. I'm going to Psychic, get some chip, expecting a Roar, as he does in fact roar me back out into Houndoom. I know that a Dark Pulse will 2-hit KO this, and I live a Surf, so I'm just going to go for it. Probably a misplay. I could have probably Toxic'd or Flamethrowered. And this is where Fire Blast would have came in handy. As he Heal Bells and removes Paralysis off of half his team, I'm just going to Thunder Wave again to kind of prevent him from doing things. And I believe this turn I Thunder Wave again, expecting the Infernape to come in as he defogs. I'm like, alright, fine. I could Thunder Wave again, and I'm tempted to, but I really want Spikes up. I think Spikes are more important than T-Waving the Infernape. I go back out into my Tangrowth as the Venusaur comes back in, of course, and as you can see, this is a super long battle, and it's just an endless cycle of this nonsense. He Toxics my Klefki. I Spike up, knowing that he can't touch my Klefki unless Sun's up. He brings up Sun. I debate staying in, but I'm just like, Houndoom isn't doing much anyway, so I could just go into that. If I overheat it again, or if I Flamethrower it, I Flamethrower this time, because, like, look at that damage. It does enough to where a second one would kill. So that's reassuring. He protects to get himself out of range, and this is why I think Fire Blast would have been better, because double Fire Blast would have killed this, double Flamethrower were not. I hard into my Mew as the Wish comes up. He protects as I Z-Power, and this is a really bad misplay. At this point, this is turn 37, and nothing has died, nothing's even taken damage, basically. So I got really impatient and misplayed, and I didn't think he would just protect. I thought he would roar, or then switch out. But, yeah, I didn't expect him to protect, because I could have very easily nasty plotted on his protect, and he saw a nasty plot, and that's why I revealed it, so then to force 50-50s like that. So I figured he'd roar me here, expecting me to plot. So Genesis Supernova would have killed, and he had no reason to assume that I was Psyche him. So while Protect is definitely the safer play, if I just nasty plotted up, he would have been even lower than he is now on the next turn that he would roar. So I Genesis Supernova, it crits, whatever, as he full heals, and now I'm like, fuck. So I have to rely on Garchomp to win, because Mew no longer has Psychic Terrain to abuse. I'm just going to double back out into my Mew as he protects on my Tangrowth, and I know that I can just plot up as he potentially goes for a Wish, and here I misplay and I Psychic instead of plotting again. I figured plotting again would be really good, but it's just another series of 50-50s. Do I plot and he roars, or do I attack and he protects? It's just an endless cycle. I'm just going to T-Wave this as he wishes, and I'm like, whatever, I don't care enough about this. I'm just going to spikes up again as he can't really pass into anything. Klefki kind of walls all the things that wants to pass into, and since he was at max HP, I wasn't expecting him to stay in. I was expecting Venusaur or maybe Togekiss or even Infernape to come in on these spikes, preferably the Togekiss to sort of defog them away, so I can finally reveal my tech in Metal Sound. And now Flash Cannon is a definite 2-hit KO, especially now that this thing is paralyzed. He can't stay in, so I think Flash Cannon is still super safe here, but I decided to go for spikes because, like I said, he can't stay in on me. As I go into Tangrowth and he reveals Rocks and then U-turn, so he's not Scarfed. So I'm like, okay, cool. He doesn't have a Scarfer on his team, which means Salic Chomp wins the game once I can get some spikes up and I can get my sub up. I could probably get a sub up on the Infernape. I'm just gonna sack my my Houndoom, expecting like Giga Drain or Toxic or something, or even Sun. As he does go into that, I Dark Pulse because it's just not gonna do enough to this thing. And I hard out into my Mew as the Protect or the Wish comes up. I expected Wish, but Protect, I guess, makes sense? I don't know. He paralyzes as I nasty plot, and I'm just going to Psychic, expecting a Wish or a Roar. And he does neither. I'm just going to Psychic again as the Roar comes out, and my Klefki comes in. I know that he's going to Wish. I think I just decide to spike up on him to force the... Here I Flash Cannon expecting the Togekiss to come in, as he instead roars me out into my Houndoom. My Houndoom dies, and that is the first death on turn 57. Are you enjoying the game, boys and girls? It's long. I go into Tangrowth and then double out into Mew, expecting Venusaur to come in, because I need this thing gone. This isn't just a problem. He keeps getting paralyzed, which is really helpful for me. It helps speed up this game a lot. Ultimately, not a lot of these paras really matter. He roars me out into my Torn, which is kind of annoying, especially with Rocks up. I'm just going to knock off as I get rid of the leftovers. I think he finally realized that... oh, that's big. That's big. Sorry. Turn 61. I knock off as he gets fully paralyzed, probably on a Wish. Whoops. Sorry about that. Probably on a Wish, and then that lets me Hurricane and kill the Vaporeon. Ultimately, I do think that this Vaporeon would have died or run out of wishes at some point, but that para just, it really matters, and it's really unfortunate that it happened on that turn. But that Vaporeon was just stalling this game, and now that the Vaporeon's gone, this game's blown out. Like, now things are going to start dropping, because in comes the Excelgor on the Torn. If this was a timid Excelgor, I lived, aside from a max roll. He Encores. I expected Encore, so I didn't go for Spikes or T-Wave. I just attacked. And I'm just going to attack again, expecting Togekiss or Infernape to come in on these Spikes. I just want to get Chip on this. And here, I think about it. And I know that Garchomp's at 80. Or no, I go into my Tangrowth, I believe. Right? Yeah, I go into Tangrowth as he Flare Blitzes, does 65. He's down in what I assume to be Blaze range. This is if he's Blaze, then I'm expecting it to be Blaze. Maybe a Sash set with Blaze and things like that. I don't know. He's either Iron Fist or Blaze, And I keep saying those words over and over again. Anyway, Blaze boosted Flare Blitz does enough to my Garchomp to put it into Salic range, and that's sort of my plan here. He either Flare Blitzes me and puts me in Salic, or he switches out expecting, or U-turns. He Inferno Overdrives and I get terrified, but turns out he is not Blaze. So if he was Blaze, I lost my Garchomp there and probably potentially lost the game on that kind of play, but you know, here we are. He switches out in fear of Scarf Chomp because I haven't shown a single move on this thing. And I'm just going to double out because I didn't want to die, and I would rather just let him kill himself. I double back into Garchomp expecting the defog, as I do get exactly what I want. And I'm just going to sub up on this thing, because I know... Whoops, sorry. No. Sorry about that. I'm going to sub up on this thing and get my Salic Berry boost. I'm going to SD in its face because I know that I can probably kill it if he's not like a max defense set, and I high roll him and he last resorts me, so this is a really weird facade last resort set. Cool, me too. Klefki comes in and I know the game is won. I 100% know that I win the game if I can get all my layers of spikes up, because if all the layers come up then Infernape dies. I can force the Togekiss to want to defog to not die. So until this Togekiss comes in, until something comes in to stop me from spiking up on them, I'm just going to keep spiking. I know Weather Ball can't kill me anyway, because I ran the calcs. And I'm just going to Metal Sound as I hopefully die. He ends up Giga Draining, and I'm like, whatever, sure. I just Flash Cannon in case the Togekiss comes in. I debated T-Waving this, but it's already low enough to force the Venusaur out. I Rock Polish, expecting either a switch or him to just attack me. I'm not expecting Toxic. I Psychic the Venusaur, it's at -2, so it dies. Here I Roost up, knowing that Air Slash would do a bit. I Nasty Plot in its face as it gets paralyzed. The paralysis just meant that I wouldn't have to Nasty Plot again. It just made things go a lot faster. That last paralysis didn't really matter. In comes the Excelgor. I outspeed it because I'm at +2. I made sure of that. And in comes the Infernape. And that's a clean end of game sweep for my Mew. We win this 2-0 and we finally win a game. It was a long game and a lot of the paras happened. There were a lot of turns where he didn't get parried, so whether or not it balances out, I'm not sure. None of them really mattered except for the Vaporeon one in front of the Tornadus. But yeah, that's week 5, and I've already been talking for 23 minutes, so I'm gonna let you guys go. I will catch you guys next week. Peace.